In this emotionally chaotic, over-offended, and overstimulated world, the ability to stay calm, grounded, and connected is sexy. This is the heart of Stoicism. It's hot right now. Today's guest, Sharon Lebell, is one of the founding mothers of Stoicism and the modern Stoic revolution. Her book, The Art of Living, sold hundreds of thousands of copies. It's been one of the best-selling Stoic books of all time, and it has been a masterpiece for the last 25 years. She is here to share with us how Stoicism can be a grounding light in a chaotic world. If you just love to feel calm and serene in the face of chaos, make sure you hit subscribe because we talk about this stuff every single week. Welcome to Good Mood Revolution. So Sharon, welcome to Good Mood Revolution.
Oh, I'm so glad to be with you.
So one of the questions that I had posed to you is Stoicism sexy? Because having this like disciplined, somber, solemn look about us, and it just doesn't seem like a super amount of fun to be all disciplined all the time and discipline our mind and not worry about the external world. Is that even fun?
And that is a fair question, to which I'd say, sexy is common as rain. You can find it anywhere. Turn on your television, look at the billboard, pick up your phone. There's lots of excitement. There's thrills out there. That said, even though Stoicism, capital S, not Stoic, lowercase s, to make that distinction, Stoicism, capital S, sure, it doesn't scream fun, but I hasten to say it doesn't foreclose on it. What it offers, the big prize in Stoicism is serenity, what Stoics call eudaimonia. What is this serenity? Is it just being some kind of relaxed noodle after meditation or massage, or does it depend on indifference to what's going on? Is it acceptance, like the recovery movement exalts? Is it a cognitive thing? Is it an emotional thing? Is it a spiritual thing? What does it feel like? Well, this Stoic conception of serenity, I just think of as a calm and stabilized mind. By quieting mental agitation, what do? We create a foundation for deeper concentration and awareness. What does that do? Our minds become less reactive to external stimuli and more present in the moment. What does this do? Well, when our minds are settled, and I'm not saying numbed out, when they're settled, what happens? We make wiser choices. We have easier access to joy, to love, and to appreciate the way life happens to be lifing at the moment. I like to say that a serene mind naturally extends kindness and understanding to others. And it also thereby reduces the sharp edges of attachment and aversion, which are two of the main causes of our suffering. But most of all, I'd say it helps us accept life's challenges with grace and with balance. I'll take that. Not over sexy, but with sexy.
I happen to think Stoicism is very sexy. And everything you just described is exactly what I want. I want a serene mind. I want a compassionate mind. I want a kind mind. I want a mind that sees things that happen that I didn't feel like I wanted to have happen and then finds a way to be grateful that they've happened. Because this is the path to happiness through adversity. And I think that's why Stoicism is so popular, is because even though the philosophy was written 2,000 years ago, it still applies. Human nature hasn't changed in 2,000 years. We still are upset when things don't go our way. We still have to deal with thoughts that aren't even true, that we're like hanging on to, that we think are true. And we have to figure out ways around them. So what are some of the passages or philosophies of Stoicism that have made the biggest impact in your life?
Well, to be sure, it's probably the most well-known principle. It's sometimes called the dichotomy of control. In other words, pay attention to what you can control and take your attention off of what you can't control, and everything will turn out better. And this, this all sounds like a bumper sticker or something.
Well, let's bring it into your life. So what's an example of a time when you were focusing on things maybe that were outside of your control and that you came back to center and said, I can't control that, and I'm going to focus on what I can?
I can give a very recent, proximate, and deeply felt example. About 5 months ago, just living a happy life with my husband, active, climbing hill, hiking every day, biking. It just seemed like life was extending out into the perpetual distance. And then, boom, my husband got a diagnosis, a very life-threatening diagnosis of an extremely aggressive cancer.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And what I've learned in going through all this is at some point, life is just going to hit you like a Mack truck. And so, it was my human nature to think, I want to control this, I want to control that. And I had to step back and go inside and embrace these Stoic ideas of stop over focusing on trying to control outcomes, because I couldn't. I didn't know whether my husband was going to live or die. But what I could do is do everything in my power to ensure that he got the best health care he could. And long story short is he's in remission now, and everything's cool. And we're riding bikes and stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
Yeah. And mind you, I'm not saying that was cause and effect, but it was so helpful to me and to him, for lack of a better way of saying it, for me not to be insane while he was going through the biggest challenge of his life. So that's my testimony.
And it could have gone the other way too. And it really isn't up to him or to you. This is one of those things that is true. Our health, and whether we get a diagnosis and whether that diagnosis takes our life or not, is not within our control. But I love what you said. What I can control is finding the very best healthcare I possibly can, doing as much research on this as I can, and making the best decisions with the choices that we do have that I possibly can. Yeah, powerful story. I'm so glad that it turned out the way that you two wanted it to, so you can get back to living this beautiful life that you have together. What are some of the other philosophies and maybe some other ways that you've applied them in your life that have really made a big impact? Because as I read your book, it's like every single page is underlined and highlighted and written on. There's so much. The breadth of work in Stoicism is so wide. What are some of the others that have really made an impact for you?
So other principles or practices in Stoicism. Well, I would say this is foundational to Stoicism. And I think this even circles back to your earlier question of, what were you doing reading Epictetus way back when? What attracted me to his thought and to Stoicism more broadly is Stoicism looks at life first and foremost through a moral lens, as opposed to say, well, let me step back from that. I'm not saying moralistic. I'm not saying sanctimonious. I'm saying simply what is choice worthy, what isn't, what is the right thing to do versus what isn't, as opposed to maybe some people navigate their lives through, well, what feels good versus what makes me uncomfortable. Okay, I'll go towards what feels good and I'll avoid what's uncomfortable. And what I liked about this moral lens is that there's a funny thing, which is that the more you point your life toward what they call virtue, and I'll put a little footnote there because some people start breaking out in hives when you say virtue because it sounds kind of priggish or old-fashioned, or like some patriarch saying, do this, don't do that, blah, 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 blah. But I think we all have inbuilt moral intuition. I know you can bring in psychopaths, to try to refute me, but they're the exception. And the really interesting thing that happens is when you point your life towards goodness, for lack of a better word, then your life gets good. You feel happy. You feel of a peace. Your thoughts, your words, and deeds become coherent. You start becoming credible to yourself. You become a serious person, not a grim person, but you become someone that you respect yourself. You feel like you belong in the world. And I honestly don't understand that mechanism of do good and then you feel good. But the truth of that has just borne out across my life experience.
It's my favorite philosophy of Stoicism as well. One of the passages in your book that rung pretty loud for me was duty to your responsibilities.
Yes.
And Epictetus was talking about how if you're a son, you have a duty to your father. You have a duty to your mother. If you're a brother, you have a duty to your brother or to your sister. And I was thinking about that for my own life because I'm a son, and it's when you have a challenging family member, it can feel easy to say, well, I'll just, since in my case, my father didn't seem like he wanted to uphold his duty to me as a son, I don't have the same duty as a son that another son whose father was there for him would have. And yet this passage said, no, you absolutely do. It doesn't matter the way he treated you. You have a duty because you are a son and you have a father, and it's your duty to take care of this human being. How do you take this philosophy that we have a duty in these roles that we need to fulfill, even if the person on the other end isn't doing their part?
I think it's so important because The fulfillment of duty, in some ways, I feel like I'm grabbing what you said earlier, but it connects you to something higher than the local situation itself. It's when a duty is fully inhabited, not like a blind yes sir, but in a wholehearted effort to do good, to do right, something gets repaired in the world that's even bigger than us, I think. And, this idea of duty is so interesting because I grew up at a time where duty was, oh, come on, it's all about what you feel and your personal potential and all that, and duty that's so rigid.
1920s.
Yeah, right.
But there was much more of a sense of duty in pre 1900, let's say, or even early 1900s, and it has been eroding. And I think a lot of people today, and perhaps the person listening, may think I don't have a duty to anyone other than doing what I think is right.
Yeah.
And yet this philosophy says, no, you absolutely do. You have a duty you have many responsibilities. If you're a citizen of your country, you have a duty to your country. If you're a citizen of your neighborhood, you have a duty to uphold your neighborhood and make things right in your community. If you're a part of an organization, you have a duty to honor that organization. Why do you think it's so important to honor the duties that we have to these different groups and organizations, even if we're just born into them haphazardly?
The shortest, but in a way the most complete answer I could give is because that is the locus. That is the location of meaningfulness. Do you want to just be a bag of meat hurling through space, eating and then reproducing and dying? Or do you want your life to have some gravity to it? Do you want it to mean something? It is in stepping up to our duties wholeheartedly. It's through caring. It really is an act of the heart. That life matters. That's how we ennoble life in an otherwise seemingly absurd world. I have another take on meaning. Not meaning, forgive me, duty is what I meant, though obviously you can tell I think they're intertwined. I think we have profound duties to one another. And I think we also have duties that are more amorphous, but just as compelling and just as important. And I'll give you an example. When I was about 18 years old, just randomly, I happened to hear a guy playing an instrument with some hammers with tons and tons of strings. And I could not believe how beautiful that thing sounded. And I went over to him and I said, what is that thing? And he said, it's a hammer dulcimer. And I said, where do you get it? And he said, well, you have to make it because back then, when I was 18, there weren't hammer dulcimers around. These are multi-stringed instruments that you hit with mallets. Anyway, I was struck with this idea that it's not that I used the word duty, but I felt like I have to make this sound. available to people because it just made me cry. And as a result, that 18-year-old girl who's now 67-year-old grandma is a master player of a 5-octave hammer dulcimer. And the point isn't to say hooray for me. The point is that I have gotten to perform on this instrument across the span of my life and see other people cry, not from sadness, but because it touched something in them that mattered. So I think sometimes we get these callings, these moments where maybe an optional duty is offered to us. And the moment says, you want to take it? Or do you want to just let it fade into the atmosphere and just be one more incidental thing that happened? But I think when we say, yes, I'm going to do this, and you can't even defend the reasons for it, but you just think this must happen, only good follows from it.
Oh, it's beautiful. And I've seen you with pictures with your hammer dulcimer, and it is a very interesting looking instrument. It's like a trapezoid harp.
Exactly.
Yeah,
106 strings that all want to go out of tune.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. And that's what this podcast is for me. This was my hammer dulcimer.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
it made no logical sense. And
yes.
Yet I was struck with this idea that I would create a show and that I would help people learn strategies to feel happier in their lives. And then I thought, oh, that's going to be a lot of work. That's going to take a tremendous amount of effort. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to put in the amount of effort that this is going to take to do it well. And I knew I would have to do it with all my effort and all my might. But I decided to answer the call. And I don't even have a reason why I got the call. All I know is that I felt compelled to answer it. And here we are having this conversation that someone is going to listen to and hear the call that you're saying you felt the call and you had this duty from somewhere beyond you to get this sound out, to move other people. And that I had a call that I don't know where it came from God, from the universe, from somewhere bigger than me. And I answered the call to help people in their lives. And so the person listening probably has a call too.
Yes.
And it's quiet. It's like a quiet little whisper.
Isn't it though?
But it's there.
It's there.
I'll say to you as you listen to this episode, whatever that call is, follow it.
I second the motion.
All right. I've got just 2 questions for you as we wrap up.
Sure. Okay.
Let's say you had just 30 seconds to give the Stoic TED Talk of your life. What would you say? And it doesn't have to be exactly 30 seconds, but what would you say in a minute or 2 or 30 seconds ish to really grab somebody with a Stoic philosophy that you feel like they need to hear?
Okay. Great, precious, never to happen again moment, and this one-off chance to share time together. When we over-identify with our thoughts, feelings, or convictions, we can foreclose on the unseen possible. What is more important than waking up from trance-like living, trance-like, where we're temporarily disassociated from life's wild beauty, from its brevity, from its transitory nature? What is more important than waking up from trance-like living?
That's my standing ovation. Nothing's more important. Nothing's more important than waking up from trance-like living and being stuck in these thoughts. And basically it's not even a reality. We're like living in an alternate reality in our minds. And I get stuck in that trance all the time, every day.
Don't we all? Yeah.
And then I wake up, as you said, to the impermanence and the beauty of the spontaneous moment that I get to be part of, that something bigger than me placed me in this moment, placed me in this life. And now here I am talking with you in this incredible, beautiful moment, connecting with you. And what's more important than this moment? It'll never happen again.
It'll never happen again.
But it's a great moment. Hold on to it.
It sure is. It sure is.
So as we're letting our listener wrap up, what would you have them focus on this week?
I would say, oh boy, I'm toggling between two ideas.
Okay.
Oh, okay. One is, I would say, always commit to depth over breadth, because what we lose if we don't commit to depth is complexity and truth. And depth of understanding is the gate to wisdom. And it's out of wisdom that lives worth living emerge, because wisdom it's the root of freedom, of justice, of compassion, of love, of productive creation, self-understanding, connection with life, connection with the universe. So important. The second one is what the last page of my book, The Art of Living, says. Do your best and always be kind.
That's it. That's the philosophy. Do your best and always be kind. That's gonna be a path to a happy life right there.
I like to think so. What a joy to talk to you.
Oh,
really,
Sharon,
just such a joy.
I am so honored that I had a chance to talk with you about your wonderful book, and you just live it. You're a light. You know, I can tell it just having this conversation with you. Thank you for coming. If anyone wanted to learn more about your work, where can they pick up your book or learn more?
The book, The Art of Living, is available through any bookstore, online or in the world. I've also co-written a book called The Music of Silence, and another book called Naming Ourselves, Naming Our Children. What I'm really excited to say is this book, The Art of Living, is going to be released soon in a 30th anniversary edition with some new material in it. So it's meant to speak to the 21st century new generation of readers. So I'm thrilled about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That must have been so fun to work on. And as you're reading back through what you did 25 years ago or 30 years ago, you must be thinking, I was so smart.
Well, I always felt, you hear sometimes people say this, but I never felt like I wrote the book. I just felt like I sat down, and took that proverbial dictation.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, I was reading a whole lot of Epictetus.
Yes. Yeah. But you can tell it's an inspired work for sure. Thank you for being here. It's been wonderful. That was a soul-stirring conversation about how to live with calm, with character, and courage, even when life completely sideswipes you. Here are my top 5 takeaways from today's conversation with Sharon Lebell. 1, Stoicism is not about being emotionless. It's about being a sovereign over your own mind. Stoicism teaches you to quiet mental agitation so you can respond to life with clarity, grace, and with strength. 2, The dichotomy of control is truly life-changing. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. 3, virtue is the third dimension of happiness. Living by your values gives you self-respect, peace, and internal freedom. Even if others don't approve of you, you can approve of yourself. Number 4, duty is not rigid. It's a portal to meaning. Embrace your responsibilities, even in tough relationships, and that connects you to something bigger than yourself and brings fulfillment. And number 5, you have a quiet calling. It's time to follow it. Sharon followed hers with music, and I followed mine with this show. You have a calling for yourself. What is it? And that's your duty. Go out and follow it. So my question for you, are you currently following your inner calling or are you ignoring it? Drop a comment below with one word, either write following or ignoring. We just want to hear from you about it. We'll see you next week on the Good Mood Revolution.